We'll start with Anthony Dasher and then go to Hank Tatum.
Hey, Coach. I know we talked yesterday about the second halves, but despite the 12-point margin, y'all seem to do some things a little bit better than that maybe y'all have done in recent weeks. Just kind of talk about that, even though you came up
Yeah,
short. Just some of those things you're able to do.
yeah. There were seven things that we changed. Um, Not that you guys want to hear all seven. Not that I can remember all seven after an emotional loss, of course. But one of them was personnel. One of them was the routine. One of them was how we started defensively, schematically, um, and offensively. But we made a bunch of changes, hoping that one or two or three or four of those changes might help us get off to a better second half start. We had half times all week in practice, and we'll continue to do that moving forward. Thought our guys embraced that. We spent a week putting in a zone that's brand new to these guys, and I thought that was a positive factor for us. I don't think the final score was indicative of how close the game was. Credit our guys. Obviously, Auburn is really, really good. They're perhaps the best team in the country. It was a two possession game there for a lot of the time down the stretch. Couldn't quite hit the big one or two that we needed to hit, to make it a little bit closer. And that said, that the three or four possessions where we did hit a big shot, that they answered immediately, with the score on the other end. There were two late shot clock possessions during the game that I thought were just huge possessions for them. The wherewithal that Baker Mazar had and Janiah Broome, one with a three and one with an and one in the paint, where the ball just kind of squirts to them really, really late, and it made us pay. And that's what good teams do and good players do. So we were really, really close, literally split seconds away on those two potential stops, which would have saved us 6 points from those guys scoring. Um, Back to work, long ride home, and then we're back to work tomorrow.
Coach, was it frustrating at all talking about kind of not being able to get all the way back there late, that it was the
Yeah.
defense that struggled to get a few stops after it had a pretty solid performance there in the first half?
Yeah, and our guys' defense, we're switching between zone and man and searching and doing different things with our man-to-man coverage. And all that said, good offense always beats good defense. In some of those possessions, we did a pretty good job. You force a tough two, or you've got an aggressive wall up. But whether it be Janai or Dylan Cardwell or one of those guys just making a play at the rim, they're such a good passing team overall, and they share it and they space you. Um, there's 4 or 5 possessions there, not only the late clock possessions, but there were some other possessions too, that I thought that were pretty good defense. But they're elite. They're elite offensively.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Go to Mark Weiser and then Jack Leo.
Mike, I'm going to ask you kind of two questions at once. First, do you think that Asa took another step forward as during his freshman year to play like he did on the road against the number one team? And then can your team you mentioned it didn't feel like a 12-point loss necessarily.
Yeah.
How do you kind of take a little bit of positive or momentum, even though it was that kind of loss into Florida?
No, we did. One of the things we talk a lot about in our program is not getting too high over wins and not too low over losses, and keeping it all in perspective. There's been negativity from our staff to our guys, led by me, obviously, after wins, and sometimes there's positivity communicated to our guys after losses, and this was certainly one of those. I'm not sitting here celebrating the fact that we lost. We played better than we did on Saturday. We just did. We played better in the second half. We competed at a higher level. Auburn made some big plays late clock, as we talked about. Otherwise, it would have been even more interesting down the stretch. If we continue to play like that down the stretch of the season, I've got faith that we got some more wins in us.
What about Asa?
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to dodge that. Fantastic, great performance. Stepped up, made big shots. Plays with swagger. He has all year. I don't know if it was a big step for him. Whether he came in here and got 14 or he got 25, I wouldn't have been surprised. He's just a competitive kid that works his butt off, and he's showing the whole world, how talented he is. And Auburn's got one of the best front lines in the country, of course. And Asa was productive. They were too, though. Their front line was too. That was a high level game.
Thanks.
Like obviously a guy like Janai is going to get his, but I mean SEC high 31 for him tonight. What did they do to get him as involved as they did?
Again, they really pass it well. They've got 4 elite shooters, not good shooters, 4 guys that can really, really fill it up that are capable of hitting multiple threes. And so when the floor is a little bit extended for him, because of the attention to detail with those shooters, he's able to put his head down and draw fouls and drive it and back you down. Deep post position, offensive rebounds, cutting. He just scores in a variety of ways. He's got big, soft hands, great touch. And he's an older, experienced guy with winning experience and scoring experience in this league. He's here at the end of his career, and he continues to get better as well.
And we'll finish with Aaron Ladd.
Mike, just generally, how important are these last 4 of the SEC to go and trying to build some positive momentum into postseason play?
Every bit as important as today was, and Saturday was, and tomorrow's practice. I mean, it's one possession at a time for us. It's one day at a time. It's growth. Proud of the way that we handled today. We got to handle it that way tomorrow. It's not about outcomes with us really all season, but especially right now. It's just not. It's about playing really well. We told our guys in this one here, if you're overly focused on the outcome of the game, it's going to be too big. The picture is going to be too big for us. It's going to take away the focus that we should have on a lot of the things that we've got to do well to be within striking distance down the stretch. And I thought our guys did a really good job of that. Our approach, our focus. At the end of the day, again, I have faith that we got more wins in us if we play well and practice well. And we're going to do that. These guys continue to work.
Right, Bill?